Ciao.
Else your iPhone can do for you. And that's a quick look at the updates to the core.
Sherman said as well, he's thinking that they'll announce the event this week. I don't understand the point of announcing an event. Sorry. Rob Walch is here with us, everybody. Rob Walch, he of Today in iOS, a big wig at Libsyn. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. Are you in the original, the first edition Podcasting for Dummies?
I am. Yes,
you were like one of the like
yes.
10 most important people in podcasting at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's really neat is I have now had 2 of the 10 people from that list on this show. Because August Strometer was one of the 10 most important people in podcasting as well, because of
iPadOS.
iPadOS, exactly. All right. So what we were just talking about before, do we actually want to dignify it by saying, or do we just want to say that that's what we were talking about? Because here's the other problem. People are going to hear this on Thursday. It's either going to have happened or it's going to have not happened.
Yeah, we were just speculating. There was rumors that on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, there would have been announcements of a new Apple Watch and a new iPads. Now, depending on who you listen to, some people are saying it was going to happen and others are saying no. Yeah. It's going to be in October. And I fall into, no, it's in October. And now if you're hearing this and it was on Tuesday, I sound really stupid.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, sitting on this side of Tuesday, we're both like, yeah, I don't think so. There's a possibility that Apple might go ahead and send out their, quote, press invitations, end quote, to not come to Cupertino, for whatever the next event is. It's still, even that feels a little early to me, though, because we know we're not getting the new iPhone until... Well, not in September. We know that. The earliest we might get it is in October.
Late October is when I think it'll be.
Okay. But I mean, why would they go ahead and have an event this early? Unless they're going to do 2 events, which, certainly you could easily do now, because it's not the matter of getting everybody to come out to Cupertino and then sending them home and then getting them to come back out again, which Apple used to have no problem doing. It feels like they've actually gone to sort of one like big Cupertino event for the fall now. For a while, you had, like, I think...
We used to have the 2 events. It was a little more Mac-oriented and some other things, and then the iPhone, iDevice event. So we have 2.
We don't really do that anymore, though. Except now you could do that because all it is getting the production done. I'm not saying the production is a small affair, but it's not also basically making everybody fly out to kiss the ring.
I don't know why Apple would release the new Apple Watches before the new iPhones, but maybe they want to. Maybe because the Apple Watch, you really want to have it ready and launch before Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah. Before
the holiday buying. That's the important time. So it's not really, it doesn't really buy you much to have it available in September versus October.
The one thing I do wonder about is this year with, the election being what it is, the economy being what it is, COVID-19 being what it is, are you as well served putting everything out in one pile, or are you better served sort of dribbling it out so that maybe people run out and buy the watch, and then, next month when they announce the phone, and maybe the phone is so good, it's like, I wish I hadn't bought the watch. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and get the phone too. I mean, is there any benefit to introducing one, making it available, then introducing the other and making it available, as opposed to putting out a pile of things where people feel compelled to pick one?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if Apple does space it out a little bit, then you don't feel so bad on this monthly credit card statement buying the Apple Watch and the next one buying the iPhone. That is true.
Maybe. I don't know. We don't know. And here's the thing. As this plays on Thursday, people may be like, wow, I love my Apple Watch 6 that I've already got miraculously.
Yeah.
All right, so...
Well, I am due for the Apple Watch, and my youngest son is really hoping that the Apple Watch 6 pushes me, because I didn't get the 5, so I still have the 4. And my youngest son is due up for the next upgrade in Apple Watches, so he gets my 4 if I get the 6.
Yeah, you see, I have known all year that I was getting the Apple Watch that comes out this year, because I got the iPhone 11 last year, and so whatever the next Apple Watch is, I'm getting it. Was what I was thinking, but honestly, the way things are today... in #these uncertain times, I mean, not. I mean, it's and the thing is, on paper, I can afford it, but what is that $400 going to be 6 months from now, a year from now, whatever? I'm one of those people you hear about on the news who's maybe like toning down their spending a tiny bit because 6 months from now looks like what. But anyway, that's a whole other thing for a whole other thing. What I actually wanted to talk to you about today, or what I wanted you to bring to us, Were your thoughts on iOS, iPadOS, watchOS, the coming updates? I figured probably mostly iOS and iPadOS specifically because, that is your jam. Tell me what you think we should be excited about and why. Or if you'd rather just say what you're excited about, that's fine too. You don't have to speak for me. You're not the Lorax for crying out loud. You can talk for yourself, Rob Walch.
I am most excited on iOS 14 about Translate. To me, that's my favorite feature without doubt.
Remind people, by the way, because it's been
translates where you can say a phrase in your language, turn your phone sideways, and you'll see what it says on your side of the phone, what you just said. And on the other side, it translates into the language you want. So like, where is the bathroom? And then on the other side, it hopefully translates it correctly, and the person points you to the bathroom. And so that, to me, for someone who's traveled a lot and gone to other countries, that to me is a really exciting feature. And I still really in my heart believe that beyond the languages they listed somewhere in there, Apple's got Klingon hidden in there.
I remember you talking about that. That's right.
I know. I just believe it. But I have switched my son's phones first to iOS 14, and my youngest son, keeps saying, "What do you like the best?" And he, without a doubt, widgets. He loves the new widgets. He loves setting up the widgets and the varying sizes of the widgets and the way they've done the widgets. Mm-hmm. So when I ask him of all the stuff that he likes the most in iOS 14, hasn't changed at all since he's had it the last 2 months.
What widgets has he done? I'm curious.
The one he likes the best is the battery widget of all things, because he always hated having to, he has it right on his home screen now. So now he can tap down and see what it was. Before he would tap on it, and because of the cutout, he's got the iPhone 10, and he'd have to pull down to see what the battery percentage was. Mm-hmm. Now he sees it right there. So I'd asked him that, which was his favorite widget, and that was one of them. But then he also he has a podcast he listens to, and the new podcast widget's pretty nice as well. So you can play the podcast and you can see what's up next. So,
that's cool. Okay.
So those are, that's where his are. The privacy we talked about earlier, once those features are rolled out, I'm really excited about that. On the iPad, I am like the worst drawer. I can't draw a straight line with a straight edge. Mm-hmm. Now I can. So I like the scribble feature and being able to add things into different fields as well, where you can handwrite it and changes your handwriting. And so I just overall, it's a nicer feel. I think it's one step closer on the iPad to that merge between the Mac OS and iPad OS. And I think with the Silicon announcement, I think eventually we're going to see that merge of I mean, if you think about it right now, there's not much difference between the iPad Pro and the MacBook. Right? They both have USB-C port. One has the mag connector for the keyboard, which you don't need for the laptop, and one has touchscreen and the other doesn't yet, right? So those OSs, it just seems like the Mac OS and the iPad OS are if you look 3-4 years from now, you just see it, they're colliding, going to be the same thing.
Interesting. I wonder why Apple keeps saying that they're not. And the one thing that I can't remember who I was talking to a few weeks ago, but I stumbled into an idea that I kind of like. They're getting close enough together that it's just basically going to be we're living in a terrarium or we're living in the walled garden. But the walled garden is not just about the App Store at that point. The walled garden is just about everything works well enough because they're all running on the same hardware and that they're all running on Apple Silicon. Then even if the Mac retains the Mac form factor and the iPhone retains the iPhone form factor and the iPad retains the iPad form factor, you're swimming in data at that point, or you're soaking in data at that point. And how you choose to access all of that really just has to do with how you choose to access it, or maybe a particular function that you're trying to accomplish can only be done with a certain form factor. But, if you strip it out and look at the matrix as just the zeros and ones, it all looks the same.
Yeah, I think the iPhone OS will diverge. I think a few years from now, iPhone OS will be further from iPad OS than iPad OS is from Mac OS.
Interesting. Because that feels that's weird to me because the iOS, iPad OS separation almost feels artificial to me. But you're saying they're actually driving the iPad closer to the Mac. Is that intentionally, or is it just there are other things that we're going to want to do with the phone?
I think that's just for usability. right? You use the devices differently. I mean, people are using their iPad Pros as their laptop. Mm-hmm. But you're not using your iPhone as your laptop.
Right. Well,
so there's certain things.
It's too small, isn't it?
Yeah, right. So I think, again, I see, when you talk to people, I see them, you're going to use the iPad more like a laptop. And my kids do, right? And then you do your iPhone, which is more of a, you can consume content on it, but it's not creation of content. It's not really the greatest for creating content. Not great for working on spreadsheets and things like that. You can, if you have to, you can look through it. If you have to find something, your boss calls you up, you got to pull a spreadsheet and got to get something out of it. But you really wouldn't want to sit in a spreadsheet all day long on your iPhone.
No.
You can do it on an iPad Pro.
See, the one that's really going to be just the absolute killer for me is the AR glasses. I saw something the other day that I had actually talked about several years ago as, wouldn't it be neat if you could? And then somebody else, 5 years later, has made a video of here's what this would look like. Where it's basically any place you sit can be a computer, because the processing power is happening in your phone, the display is happening through your glasses. So sitting in a Starbucks, you remember that? Sitting in a Starbucks, you look down at your table, and if you've activated the laptop function of your AR glasses, then tapping on the table, the glasses can see where you're tapping, and so they know to type whatever, and then you look up at the screen, which of course doesn't exist, except that it exists in your AR glasses. But
so basically we're getting into Minority Report times.
Yeah, kind of, I guess, except without the sidekicks.